I used to be part of a cult called The Ramp in Hamilton, Alabama. Today I'm going to read the statement that they released 2 days ago about Samuel Bentley. I want to read it with you and I want to share my thoughts on it. It starts with saying, last week a brave individual came forward reporting that 4 years ago they experienced inappropriate essay by a staff member of The Ramp. The staff member involved was Samuel Bentley. So they're trying to create space here by saying 4 years ago. They're trying to say this happened a long time ago, and so because of that, somehow it's not that bad. The person is identified as staff member. This is again creating distance from the evil act. This was not just a staff member. This is trying to minimize what has actually happened. This was Karen's own son-in-law, someone who has been at the Ramp for 25 years, somebody who has been high on the leadership board the entire time. You can't get higher than Sam Bentley unless you're Karen Wheaton. Okay, so this wasn't just some random person. This again, the fact that it's Sam Bentley proves to us that the fruit of the ministry is bad. It is rotten. It is disgusting. This is a person who was there for 25, 28 years, hearing and being taught under Miss Karen, personally being part of her family. Yet he still had this in his heart, which proves to us that the ministry does not have good fruit. Furthermore, he was a prominent person, not just at the ministry, but in that community. His father was a judge of the city, and because of that, he had a lot of influence in the community. And also because of that, the Ramp had benefited a lot from the fact that one of its highest members was connected with the judge of the city. They were able to broker real estate deals. So again, this is not just a staffer. It says the individual was a minor at the time of the incident. Again, it's creating space. At that time, they were a minor, and it happened a long time ago. I don't like the word here, minor. Let's not get lost in the legal talk. This was a child. Let's say what it was, a child. I want to also iterate that this disproves and dispels anybody who wants to come on here and say that Sam is like a David type person, that God can still redeem him. Okay, this statement says that this happened 4 years ago, that the other staff, that Miss Karen herself, the entire ministry, had no idea about it. That means that for 4 years, Sam lived with this, knowing that what he'd done was evil, and still speaking at conferences, still talking to minors, still leading trips to England with minors involved, still every single week getting up there and saying prophetic words to the people. This is not somebody who made a mistake and then like David had a heart to confess and ask the Lord for forgiveness. This man laid down his head on his bed every night knowing what he did was wrong, and he was okay with it. He never once told anybody in the staff. Why? Because he was okay with it. If he was like David, he would not have been okay with it. He would not have been able to sleep at night. He would have wrestled through this. He would have gotten himself out of ministry immediately. Okay, upon receiving this report, leadership immediately addressed the matter with Samuel. During that conversation, he admitted the allegations were true. Okay, this to me proves two things. One, there is absolutely no discernment in Miss Karen or the leadership at the Ramp. Two, they are lying to you when they say that they hear from God. They do not. You see, this type of sin doesn't just spring up overnight. It is a tree that has deep roots. It is something that takes time. It is something that afflicts the person until they act on it. But it's not something that happens overnight. And if they had had discernment, they would have seen this coming a long time ago, before anybody was ever abused. But they never saw the signs. They were never able to discern what was going on with him in his personal life. Therefore, when they tell you things like, we're going through a storm right now, and it's so hard for me right now, they're lying. They cannot discern left from right. Again, these people promote prophecies. They say that they hear from God. But God never told you about this guy in your own ministry who was a predator? So you're telling me that God tells you all the time that you need more money to build another conference center, to build a camp ramp, to buy more buildings. He talks to you all the time. You yourself said it in your last video, that when you say, Jesus, he says, yes. right away. But he never told you about this predator? This proves that you never heard from God. In reality, God only tells you things when it's about you making money, when it's about you growing your ministry. But he never tells you about things that matter, things that are going on in your own house. You're such a friend of God, but he doesn't let you in on those secrets. So people who are listening to this video, I want you to know that when you see the videos of these people saying, oh, well, God told me this, and this is happening because the devil that, they don't know God. They have no discernment between good and evil, and they don't hear God's voice. And this proves it. The fact that they are saying that they never knew. This happened 4 years ago and they never knew about it. God never whispered that in their ear. He whispered to tell them, get more money. But he never whispered and said, hey, get that guy out of the ministry. It says Samuel was immediately terminated from his position. The Ramp's board directors were notified and the matter was promptly reported to the appropriate authorities. A few days later, Samuel disclosed a second instance involving a minor, which was also reported to the appropriate authorities. We are readily cooperating with law enforcement as their investigation proceeds. Now, there are allegations, and these are allegations by people who were there at the Ramp Church who say that they heard Karen frame this as an affair. Now they're doing that, if they did that, they're doing that because they want to minimize what has happened and they want to make it seem as though the child wanted it. The child was part of this relationship. They agreed to it. But let's make one thing clear. Children cannot agree to this. What this proves to me, if this is true, is that this was ongoing. This was not something that just happened out of the blue. This was somebody who primed the people, who groomed young people into these acts, because it takes time for a child to say that they have developed feelings to make it an affair. That takes time. And so you're telling me that you, as the leadership, and even you as the mother-in-law, never saw him being inappropriate and exhibiting grooming behavior towards children? That's a huge red flag. Again, that means that you have no discernment. You don't know what's going on. Okay, it says, based on the information currently known to us, these incidents did not occur on the church property or in connection with Ramp University. Again, this is creating distance between them and the evil that has happened. But let me ask you, how did this man get access to young people? The Ramp itself is a place that markets itself to young people. The Ramp calls in youth groups who are just a bunch of high school kids, minors, children, promote themselves to. That's who they market themselves to. So where did this guy get access to young people? Our deepest concern is for the victims and their families. As a ministry, we are committed to supporting their ongoing healing in any way possible, and we are working with them to pursue this. To the victims, we want to say clearly, we believe you, we grieve with you, and we stand with you. Now, I personally don't believe that. And I won't believe it until I see a third-party investigation and until I see them pay for third-party professional psychological help. Out of respect for those affected and the seriousness of the situation, we have made the decision to cancel this week's scheduled event, including College Days and Spring Ramp. In their place, we are holding space for morning prayer and reflection. Again, this is trying to minimize what has happened. Hey, let's just pray about it. Hey, let's not talk. Don't say anything. Don't speak against God's anointed. Let's hold a time of mourning and prayer. No, this is not the time for mourning. That time has left. This is a time for action. If the leadership is actually serious about stopping this kind of abuse there, this is the time where they show it. And they're not. The Lord is near the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. We are committed to hold our team members to the highest standards and are unwavering in our commitment to protect minors and ensure the safe environment for those entrusted to our care. The safety and well-being of those in our community, especially minors, remain our chief priority. We do not tolerate abuse of any kind and are committed to transparency, accountability, and care for those affected. They have a culture of abuse there. You see, Karen has herself verbally abused me. Now, mind you, I used to work for her like 8-hour days and it was all unpaid. And one time I accidentally moved a piece of furniture where she didn't want it. And she flipped out and screamed bloody murder at me. That's abuse. And it wasn't rare when I was part of the school to see leadership take a young person, 18 to 20-year-old, to the back room by themselves to meet with 3 grown men who were 30 to 40 years old. And what was done at those meetings? They just screamed at you. That's all they did. Screamed at you, told you nasty, awful things that you would never become anything. And they did it until you cried. That's abuse. This isn't just a one-time deal. This is something something that is nurtured and manufactured there. It says at this time, the victims have requested to remain anonymous. We kindly ask for community to respect their privacy and honor their request not to be publicly identified. I urge you to stand and say no more. This has to stop. Pray and ask the Lord that he would bring justice to this situation. We want to see this place shut down. This place this isn't a one-time deal. This has happened there before. And there are tons of allegations against this place. And there are many stories that I could tell myself. This place breeds evil, and it needs to stop. And we, as the body of Christ, the true church, we need to be the ones to step forward. So speak out. Speak the truth. Say what happened to you. Tell others. Call the authorities. Let's make sure that this stops. Let's make sure that they hear us.